Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to WillDoesMagic. My name is Will. I hope you're all having a magical day. Now, today I've got a new kind of video for you guys that's been highly requested from a lot of comments, and it's a sleight of hand tutorial on the double lift move. Yes, that is the double lift move. I'm going to try to do my best tutorial of it and trying to teach you guys how to do it as smoothly as possible. Now, there are tons of tutorials out there on YouTube on this sleight of hand move. But this is my interpretation of it and how I usually do it in performances, and it's worked out pretty good so far, I'd say. I will share a couple different variations on a couple of ways you can do it, but mostly what it does, how it works, and what the main factors you gotta train about are. So if you do like this video, please leave a like on it, comment on what you guys want to see next. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, but without further ado, let's get into it. So what is a double lift, guys? Well, a double lift is basically exactly what it sounds like. Instead of lifting the top card only from the deck, you're actually picking up two cards at the same time. Now, what this does is that if you're the magician and you control their card to the top, you can say that you're picking up two cards or one card while you're actually picking up two cards. You can put their card in the middle of the deck, snap your fingers, and get him back on top. That's the basic principle, guys. Now I'm going to change this camera angle just to kind of get it closer so you can see what's actually going on. But you can use this in a ton of other tricks, and I'll show a couple different variations at the end. Alright, so the double lift, guys, is a very smooth, easy working move that you can do it in a couple different variations. I'll show you a couple of them. I'll show you how I do it, and then a couple other magicians do it. But the main thing you're doing is that whichever hand you're using, whichever side you're using, you're riffling down the cards and kind of getting a feel for when you only got two cards from the top, and that's what you're going to pick up. So every time you see a magician just going, all right, let's see the top card like that, that is actually not one but two cards most of the time. So the way I do it is that I use my left hand as the dealer's grip, and I use my right thumb at the back right corner from my viewing perspective. So what I would do is I would hold the deck, normal grip, and I would use the back part of my top or tip of the thumb to riffle down that side and get a peel of those top two cards. Now, this is not something easy, guys. I want to tell you that you do not go out and make this move straight away. You got to practice it a couple times before you can get used to the feeling of actually how thick is that pile of two cards. Because you'll feel the difference between 1, 2, and even 3 cards once you get used to it. The second variation is that you can do the same thing. So you're holding your deck in the same position, but instead of doing it from the back, you can use your index and thumb and riffle down the side of the deck. Now, what I usually do if I do this one is I keep a space between my ring finger and long finger that's holding the deck, so I can riffle down in between those. Now what that does is that when I riffle down, I get a hold of those two cards, I flip them over, and I keep pressure on this card, or on those cards, so that they don't split. So I try to keep it a good amount of pressure in between those hands, and then when I go to re-grab it, I pinch them hard again, and I flick them back. Now, that is probably the way that looks maybe more natural if you will flip over a card. Now, I don't know. I've just gotten used to doing it from the backside, and it kind of works the same way. But you can do it either way. Whatever feels most natural for you is probably the best way to do it. That's what I would say. All right. Now for the third version, I think that David Blaine is the one using this one, or I've seen some bigger famous magician use this one. But it's the same principle. You riffle down the cards, but he uses the top right corner instead of the bottom right corner. So what he does is that he riffles down from the top, kind of pointing the deck down towards so that the audience don't see him riffle down. But what he does is that he riffles down, gets under those two cards, and then he pivots those in his palm. Now that looks pretty clean to me. I've just never gotten used to doing it, but that's also a way you can do it. So he would go around, riffle down, get under those two cards, pivot it, and then put it back on top. Also a variation you can do, pretty simple, but the only thing you gotta learn is that riffle, and depending on where you're using it on the deck, you either feel it from your tip of the thumb, your index, maybe even your long finger if you're doing it. But that, it's all up to you how you want to interpret this trick. All right, a final one that can be used when actually picking a card and doing this move is when you're asking the spectator to riffle down the side of the pack. They say stop wherever they like, and you bring out their stopped card. You can place it like that, and then you can say that you're putting it inside the deck just to get it lost. Snap your fingers, and it's back on top. Now for this one, you're doing the same thing, and you already got the riffle in with your dealer's hand, but you're going down the side of the deck, and whenever they say stop, you put your long finger inside that gap, and then you just riffle down 1 and 2 cards, and you bring both those out, keeping tight pressure on them so they don't split. You pinch them, tight pressure again, bring it out, place it back on top. Now those are probably the main ways I would do this move. And if you're going back watching tricks now, you'll probably see a lot of magicians using this move all the time. If, let's say, they control the cards at the top, like the 5 of hearts, and they don't want the audience to see that, they could pretty easily go, all right, so your card is not on top, and your card is not on the bottom. And that would give the illusion that their card actually isn't on top, while it actually is. And then they'll be a step ahead of the spectator, and they can do other tricks after that. So that is the double lift, guys. Now, just to give you kind of an idea how it's supposed to be used, let's say that you get to pick a card freely from the deck, and you pick this card right over here. Now, you can look at the card, and then we can place it somewhere in the middle of the deck. Now we can give the deck a quick little cut, give the deck a quick shuffle. Now, just so that you know the deck is actually shuffled, your card is not on top, nor is it on the bottom. But what we could do is that we could take that 2, put it down. We can take that 3, and then we can actually just rub that 3 over the 2, and your 2 becomes the 3. Just a quick little show, but the possibilities with the double lift are actually endless. Like, you can do whatever you want. I'll be posting a tutorial on one of the greatest card tricks ever created, probably, in my opinion, in a later video on, but I feel like that's a bit more in the future, but that actually uses the double lift. And if you guys have watched this tutorial now, we can go into a lot more tricks that uses the double lift, because I don't want to leave you guys behind if you don't know how to make certain moves. Now, I do recommend that you try and practice the double lift as much as possible, because it is a very versatile, and a lot of magicians use it for creating tricks, for the main reason that it gives an illusion that you can pick up 2 cards instead of 1, and it gives the spectator a false information of where their card is or isn't. That is probably the main reason, because magic is all about being 1 step ahead of the spectator at all times. So I hope you liked that tutorial. If you do want to see other tutorials, please leave a comment on it down below in this video. If you liked the tutorial, please leave a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. But that's it for today, guys. I hope you'll be having a magical day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.